Parents always told us there are two topics that you should never talk about in public. One is politics and the other one is religion. But here at We the People of Rhode Island's Freedom of Speech Mondays at Nostalgia, we talk about politics and world affairs every week. So I figured we'd change it up this week. There's a lot of news stories going on. It's actually a bit overwhelming. So we're gonna take the week break here at a roundtable discussion to talk about that other forbidden topic, religion. This can go in several different directions. What we've got is a debate format here. We're going to allow for 30-second comments. People have some wild cards. They can extend them if they want. And well, here we are again. It is Freedom of Speech Monday night at Nostalgia. And we're going to start it up right now. 30-second timer. I'll open it up with a remark. I'm going to let the opposition have their comments, and then we'll go. What we have here is we've invited some members of the Rhode Island Atheist Society here to debate not necessarily Christianity, but other. So I see this being probably an intelligent design argument versus atheism. We'll see where it goes. So on this side, we've got the non-atheist side, and on this side is the atheist side. So just to keep track, we'll open up with some introductions. My name is Adam.
Charles Pacerno. And Paul.
My name's Mike.
My name is Dan. And I'm Lou.
Okay, we're going to try to keep this as civil as possible. I know this is the topic of religion, and this can get quite a heated debate sometimes, but we talked a little bit ahead of time, and I think we're all friends, so we'll see how this turns out. I'm going to open it up, and then we'll pass around. So I'm going to open it up with the grand topic of all, when people think about atheism versus other, and you go back to the science of nature, which you try to base your argument on, and that is evolution. Personally, and here's the opening, evolution, as far as I've seen it in science, is there's a lot of holes in it, and I can give a lot of examples. I'm going to start the timer. Evolution, missing links, all sorts of scientific things that don't seem to add up for people like myself. For example, we have the whale. And people who adhere to Darwin's theory say that the whale actually started as a land creature. I think you had Ambulocetus, which eventually over millions of years evolved to Rhodocetus. And the fins, the feet turned into fins, and eventually this thing crawled into the sea to become a whale. I'm a contender of Darwinism, of the evolution theory, and I'll let you take your side. Here we go. You're next up, Charles. He's up.
All right. Now, it's interesting that you brought up the whale, because the whale actually is an excellent example of evolution. We actually have, I think it's up to 6 transitional fossils, and when we get transitional fossils, we don't just look at it and say, look, we see something, one feature transitional. We actually have to falsify that, and one way we falsify that is 2 things: nostril movement and also inner ear. To be able to be underwater, the nostril had to move back, and the inner ear had to change to be able to hear underwater. When we examined the fossils, we saw the evolution of both of those.
Charles?
Evolution. I'm more interested in the concept of God than evolution. Basically, I don't believe in the Bible's teaching, because only several thousand years have passed according to the scriptures. I believe in billions of years of evolution to this point, but I also believe that nature hiccups every once in a while and creates a weirdo situation constantly. I don't know where you're going with the whale situation. The whale is just a byproduct of a mammal.
Throw the timer away. Dan?
Well, not believing in evolution is like not believing in gravity. To say intelligent design is like saying intelligent design is basically the god of the gaps. Where a gap exists, people invoke intelligent design. But once science answers that question of where that gap was, then the ID design moves to another gap. Eventually, there will be no gaps left for ID to exist. Evolution is a well-recognized scientific fact.
back to the whales. They have to be one of the oldest species on the planet, still living today. If they did move from land to the ocean, they still breathe air. There's no gills, okay? That would be one of the first things I'd work on. Not feet, not flippers, but if I stop swimming, I'm gonna die, okay? So I'd work on gills before working anything else. I don't see that concept at all. Transitional, after millions and millions of years, you gotta have some really big changes here. And I go with my respiratory system before I go to anything else. Yeah, evolution isn't something that makes what is the best choice. Evolution goes by what happens. See, evolution is genetic mutations, which randomly happens in natural selection. So maybe the lungs turning into gills would have been preferable. But things don't go by what's preferable, but it goes by what happens, and then it promotes and continues to evolve what's happening. The fact that they can hold their breaths for such an extended time is what they evolved to be able to handle going underwater for that amount of time. They had lungs, and to de-evolve lungs and produce gills may have been something more difficult. But again, it's not something that's a selective thing. They don't make choices that are intelligent with evolution.
So we're going back to the pool of primordial ooze, where everything just by chance came together. These certain things blended, they evolved, they split into different species, they turned into different creatures and animals at some point. And I always use the junkyard example. And what I mean by that is, I'm screwing up on the timer already. I'm gonna count myself out. Okay, you have the junkyard, you have all these shards of metals, nuts and bolts laying around, along comes a hurricane. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard this one because I actually see it as a good argument. Along comes a hurricane, blows up all the stuff in the junkyard, conglomerates all these scraps of metal, nuts and bolts, paint, chips, the whole thing. By the time the hurricane blows over from the junkyard, you have a perfectly shiny Mercedes-Benz sitting there with the key in the ignition, tank full of gas, all the working parts are there, lubricated, and ready to run. How do you respond to that?
Well, that's an argument coined by Sir Frederick Hoyle, and that's an argument commonly used by people who do not understand evolution. That's not how evolution works. Evolution started with simple beginnings, and slowly, over many, many years, many thousands, millions of years, formed creatures what we see today. It didn't just happen like that, like you described, a tornado going over a junkyard and forming a fully functioning Cadillac. That's not how evolution works. That's not how we explain things. And Mike, you have some examples of evolution that happens with how we split from monkeys. Would you like to speak about that? Do we have a chance to do that?
Nope.
See, the problem most people have with evolution, or the problem that I have with evolution, okay? I do believe that there are subtle, small changes, and there are definite changes, okay? Taking your skin, you know, just the way you eat, what you do, you know, how you adapt to your environment, okay? But as far as to make species from ooze, I can't wrap my head around that at all, okay? And I can't understand how, if we all started from the same thing, how we all started from the same
was a bad idea. Just wrong.
We all started from the same thing, and how everything works so perfectly together, okay? Like just for example, okay? You got the covering of fruits and vegetables, okay? Cellulose that our bodies cannot break down. It's insoluble fiber. It's designed to clean us out. So we have soluble fiber. It's designed to go inside and clean us out from that way, okay? It's got to be intelligent design, okay?
Let's
You guys can